Click the recording. Thank you. So again, good afternoon. Good morning to some of those that are, on the West Coast. We thank you for being here. You're in for a huge treat. We've got some amazing Tableau champions that I work directly with that are going to be sharing their use case around graduation, but just a little bit about their history and background of using Tableau. So pretty great for them to be here today. So we'll get started. I'll introduce them in just a second, but to highlight your quick K12 team here at Tableau, those of you that have joined many sessions, you know who you work with, but if you're new today, welcome again. This is your designated team. We are specific to K12. Most of us on this call do have a K12 background. So we've been in your space before. So Kelly Rich covered what you see in green, Sarah in the purple, Matt over the blue, Melinda in orange, and then I cover area, Texas. So a little bit of housekeeping, so recorded. We also leverage the Q&A and not just the chat. You can use the chat obviously to converse with your peers, but use the Q&A specifically for questions. It's a little bit easier for us to track as they come in. Recording is already taken place, and then we will send that once we follow up with you, as well as some of the materials that we cover today. So with that, I am going to hand it over to El Paso, but just a little background with my relationship with El Paso. I have been supporting this wonderful team for over 3.5 years as I work in Texas school districts. And we've not only built like a great working relationship, but we're even friends here. So I'm really excited for them to be able to share with you today around their graduation use case. If you ask them, I mean, they could go into hundreds of different dashboards and use cases that they can share, but they're just a wealth of knowledge and one of our biggest champions over here on the Tableau K12 side. So with that, I will go ahead and hand it over to Albert and Ruby. Thank you again for being here. And I can stop sharing my screen and let one of you guys take over.
Sounds good. All righty. Can you see my screen?
Yep, we're good.
Oh, looks like it's on the wrong one. All right. I'll leave it on this screen because I have multiple screens. It's kind of causing a mess here. But so a little bit about EPISD. We're 77 campuses strong, about 49,000 students. Today we'll talk about our seniors, about 4,000 seniors, and we service about 9,000 employees. So you can imagine the amount of data we have to produce. In today's topic for graduation, you can see we have 14 high schools. So going through that much data, it's easier to bring it all into Tableau and display it for our campuses at a high level and get down to the student level using Tableau. A little bit about our server environment. We're hosted on-prem. We have about 9,000 users. Everybody, we bring them into Tableau so they can sign in and access some sort of data. We develop and build 3,000 user groups. All those user groups are used for user level security. So as users move in and out of their groups, their assignment changes and they see different data as they get into different roles. We have about 14 top level projects, 300 workbooks, and about 1,000 views. Keep in mind that all of our workbooks aren't all necessarily active. A lot of them are archived, but they are available for our users to get in and access the data for previous years if they need to. And what data do we provide? Well, we provide everything that we can think of. We start with accountability. We provide data related to assessment, enrollment, facilities, human resources, state and federal reporting. We even do leveling and staffing and everything related to student. So why monitor data in graduation data in Tableau? Well, a lot of us experience the same issues related to to graduation, we have data located in multiple data sources, whether they come from the state, they're flat files, spreadsheets, you name it. We're able to bring them all together so we can look at them in one location. In terms of the systems that we do have, like our student information system, we have many data points. So a lot of those data points, they're difficult to get into one place. You may have to view them in different screens. Trying to get to those data points and look at them all together to determine if students are going to graduate or not may be difficult. So bringing it all into Tableau really helps. And then it also works for data validation purposes. So we're able to look at the data as users filter and they look at specific students, they may realize that there are issues. This allows them to identify those issues and get in there and clean up their data. So let me jump into our dashboard. All righty. So before I get started, I'll let you know that all of this data is anonymous. It is not real data. The campus names that you see, the student names, the student IDs, they are not valid. They are all anonymized in some way. But everything you see here does tell a story. We wanted to provide that story to you using Tableau. So one of the things we like to emphasize here in the analytics department is our template. Everything that you see here, all of our dashboards follow a similar pattern. Navigation over here on the left-hand side. And then we also have our filters at the top. So when users sign into any of our dashboards, it's the same experience every time. They don't have to search for anything, and they're able to get in and start digging right away. All right, so about our dashboard. You can see that right now I'm looking at it at a very high level. This is a district level view. What we like to emphasize is that the colors always mean something. So when you see green, it's usually good, red is pretty bad, and yellow is right in between. So when you see those colors throughout the dashboard, that's what they indicate. Okay. So at the very top on the right, you'll see this is the total number of high school students that we have. This dashboard isn't just meant to identify and look at seniors. This is meant to be very proactive and look at students as soon as they enter into high school. Because there are certain things that we can take care of when they're freshmen. So using this dashboard, they're able to quickly identify what students need to get certain things done. Specifically, we look at do they have a cohort assignment? Do they have a graduation plan, and do they have endorsements? Those types of things can be done right away when students enter into high school. And as they progress through the years, we can look at additional information, testing, and whatnot. So at the very top, like I mentioned, we have our total high school students. We have them broken down by grade level. And then we also have up at the top the total number of students that have met all requirements. Now it looks really low right now. It looks low because we're looking at all high school students. We also have we have the ability to track students and their cohort status. So are they on track to graduate with their cohort? Are they behind? Are they missing a cohort? Are they ahead? Are they going to graduate early? All of that information they can find right here. One of the other things that we like to do is we like to look at percentages or rates in terms of all of the different areas. So just a disclaimer, this dashboard isn't 100% done. We are growing as we develop it. As we build in new items into the dashboard, we recognize that we may need additional information. We may look at something a little differently. So there are a lot of things we still want to add to this dashboard. But as we move through here, I'll identify some of those things. So as I mentioned before, we have the total number or the rate of students that have been assigned a cohort. When I hover over any of the donuts, you'll see the number of students that are missing a cohort. So it gives us a good idea of what we need to address there. We can look at students that have or don't have a grad plan, those students that have or are missing endorsements. And then we can also look at their EOCs, the end of course exams, because those are important to, for our seniors when they're graduating. We also have, we have the ability to look at their federal student aid application. We can look at CPR training, peace officer training, and we also look at their speech courses as well. All of those are identified as necessary for students to graduate, but we also want to look at total number of courses that they've taken and credits that they've earned, and I'll get into that here in a little bit. Down on the bottom, we have a really big grid. I know it looks a little busy, but as you can see, I am at a district level. So when the campuses sign in, they only see their information. So it does narrow it down for them, and it makes it a lot more, it makes it easier for them to identify any issues or gaps that they need to address. Right now, you can see that we have the high school level, but if we need to get down, or the school or the campus level, if they need to break it down and look at by grade level, they can also do that here. Some campuses, they like to just look at specific scenarios. And what I can do is look at one of those specific scenarios. So right now I am looking at a district. I want to be a specific campus. So I am going to go and I'm going to look at Chaos High School. And at Chaos High School, right away, I can see I have some issues I need to address. Specifically here on the first column, you can see that I am looking at 9th through 12th grade. I can see the campus's need to take care of some of their cohort assignments. When I hover over each of those areas, you can see how many students are missing. And we can also take it a step further and get down to the student level, and I'll do that here in a bit. Okay, so right now I'm specifically concerned with those students that are supposed to graduate this year. So I'm going to break it down and I'm going to look at those students that are supposed to graduate the 2024 school year, but I'm also going to look at students that are in 12th grade, because obviously we have some students that are behind, but we want to make sure that the students that are seniors right now, what else do we need to look at to make sure that they are ready to graduate on time. So you can see everything filtered down to a specific grade level. So we're all at 12th grade. 73.9% of the students have everything they need to graduate. If I take a look at these donuts down in the center, I can see those areas that I need to address. I need to assign endorsements to the students. Some students have not completed their EOCs. EOC testing is obviously happening right now. So as they take those tests and those scores come in, that'll be populated into here. You'll see those percentages go up. I also have students that are missing their federal application. Some students may be taking specific courses related to CPR, peace officer, and speech. If they're in progress right now, they aren't in the dashboard, but that's one of the things that I had mentioned we want to bring into the dashboard so they can identify, hey, they may not have completed it, but it is in progress right now. So that's one thing we can monitor. Down below, I have it broken down similar to what you see up at the top, but this is specifically to 12th grade. And if I sort or I unfilter, I'll see all of my grade levels as I need to during the school year. So this is the high level view. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the student listing, which breaks down all of the information by individual students. Okay, let's let this load. Once again, it's a grid view. It's pretty busy, but at the same time, it allows me to see every student where they stand and what they're missing. And it's a little bit more in depth compared to that first page. So I'm going to filter down back to that campus. I am going to look at my students that are graduating this year or supposed to graduate this year. So I'm going to filter down to that cohort. And I am going to look at 12th grade only. And with most of our student view dashboards that we develop, we always put a band at the top that lets us know how many students we have on the list that we're looking at right now. So most of the time, as you start filtering and filtering and filtering, the question is, well, how many students are on the page? This quickly identifies how many students we're looking at right now. So Chaos High School has about 739 students that are about to graduate, but you can see that we do have some that are missing quite a bit. And it could be related to a few things. They may be taking courses right now related to graduation, so that might not be an issue. But there may be some that are missing a lot more than that. So as I hover over each of those areas, you'll see it tells me if they have the information or if they do not. The green check mark indicates that they are on track. Anything that you see with a red X means that they do not have that information. One of the additional things that we've added, and we just added into this dashboard, is the credits earned. So we want to look at students, have they taken all the courses they need to? Right now, I'm looking at credits earned just in general. So they need 26 credits to graduate high school, but we also want to take a look at, yes, they may have 26, but is it 26 of the correct courses? Did they take the right amount of English? Did they take the right amount of math? That sort of thing. So we're going to get that breakdown, and we're going to populate it here into the dashboard so we get a better idea of how the students are doing. One of the other things that we want to display here is the EOC information. For whatever reason, it doesn't seem to be loading, but when it does load, it lists out all of their EOCs. If you see an exclamation mark, it means that they've accomplished or they've passed some EOCs, but not all. This quickly identifies which ones they need to pass. And it's not just, we aren't just looking at information related to did they pass or not. We also have logic in here. This IGC is another way of demonstrating competency and allows them to not take the EOC. So if you see a green check mark here, then they won't have to pass the EOC. It takes that into consideration and is addressed here in their overall completion rate. All righty. So one of the other things that we like to stress is when the campuses need to download their information, we have a download or an export button here. This export button, when they do export, they don't just see check marks and did they complete or not. They have more detailed information in the download that we can't really necessarily display on the dashboard itself. But it does have a breakdown of all the required EOCs. Did they pass? Did they not pass? Where are they deficient? What information do we need to help that student get to that point where they can graduate on time? So all of that information is in here. It quickly displays any gaps, so you can see any red, any yellow. That's where we need to address any students that need help. And then one of our final pages is the EOC breakdown. This is what is supposed to be displaying on the other page and wasn't for some reason, but what you see here is the overall completion rate for the students. 67% have completed their EOC for 12th grade. If I needed to break it down even further and look at the cohort, I can look at the 24 cohort, and you should see all the information change. They are 70% complete. We have it broken down by algebra, biology, English 1, 2, and US history. Other information that we display as we look down on the list below, you can see if they have a waiver for COVID-19. You can see if they've met the standard, if they mastered the standard. and if they meet or approach the standard for passing. This dashboard isn't meant to tell you this is the way you need to do it, but what we want to display and highlight for you all is that you can bring in your information and kind of fit it in here, and it gives you an idea of how you can display it for your campuses. So this is the way we're displaying it for our counselors, so they can come in and they can see where students need to come in and take their EOCs. They may be taking them right now. They may be taking the course they need right now, but all of that information is identified here. One of the other things we want to bring in is if they are new students, students that have not necessarily taken it with EPISD, but took their similar test or course outside of the district or outside of the state. We want to bring that information in here and identify if they are missing, they may have taken it somewhere else, and highlight it as passing. So the percentages on the rate complete will be addressed within the dashboard. One of the other items that we like to do is we like to ensure that our users are engaged in the dashboard. They may not be 100% looking at these dashboards all the time, but we want to also let them know that, hey, the dashboard is sitting here. We want you to come out and take a look at it every once in a while. So one of the things we're going to incorporate is a monthly alert or a subscription that also tells the users, hey, if you can't come to Tableau, we're going to send the Tableau to your inbox so you can get an idea of what's going on at your campus at a really high level. It allows them to click on the alert. It'll take them directly to the dashboard and look at their student listings. In this case, what you see on the screen is the district level students that are behind on their cohort. Now this is overall, and you can see I have the cohorts listed by year. So I have 2024, 25, 26, and 27. Like I said, this dashboard isn't just meant for us to look at students that are graduating this year, but we can be a little bit more proactive and look at students that are going to graduate 3-4 years from now. So right now, the one that's highlighted in red, you can see these are our seniors currently that need to be, that have issues with their data. We need to take a look at that. So you can see that we have 215 students that are behind on their cohort. By clicking on this, it directly takes them to the student listing, and we can come in here and address those students that are behind on cohort. That is a filter. They have the ability to come in and filter out to those students that are behind. Everything is filterable and downloadable here. So if we need to look at students that are behind or ahead of cohort, any of those different scenarios, it allows us to look at them here, including those that haven't completed certain credit hours. That's additional information we want to bring in so we can really get ahead of the game and start to identify areas of concern for each student, not only overall when they're seniors, but as they are freshmen, sophomore, and juniors. We're going to develop thresholds that identify, hey, students should have taken algebra already as a freshman. Are they ahead or are they behind? As sophomores, should they be at English 1, English 2? All of those things will be in this dashboard here in the future. All righty, so I think that is it. Do we have questions?
Oh yeah, we
Oh
have
yeah.
lots of questions. And Ruby's been on top of it, answering all these questions in the chat. So I am going to cover the questions that were asked, and that way you guys can elaborate more on some of the details behind them. But real quickly before we get into that, I do have a specific question around this dashboard, and how, can you walk us through the story of what initiated this specific dashboard and who is your audience behind this dashboard?
Sure. So the conversation came up as counselors are looking for ways to identify students. Are they on track to graduate? Are they not on track? And then if they did graduate, did they have everything they needed? And so it's kind of a cross check between students that have graduated, what's on their transcript. So this is supposed to replicate everything that's on a student's transcript. So when we look at student A, yes, they're on track to graduate. This is all on their transcript. We look like we're good to go. And that's where this started. And our audience, it is counselors, administrators, and anybody else that the district feels needs to take a look at this. Our student services, they also have access to this, so they can get at a high level. They can get an idea of where our campuses lie in terms of their data quality, and also where they stand in terms of students projected to graduate.
Thanks, Albert, for that explanation. Love it. Tell us a little bit about the SIS you use. That was a big question. I think there was a couple that asked that question.
So the SIS that we do use right now, we are on Frontline, formerly Teams. This SIS does include everything related to student finance and HR. Everything's all in one, so it's a really nice way of looking at our data. We don't have any problems, at least right now. And when we do, it's easy to address any data quality issues because everything's all in one location. So it is a good system for us in terms of data. We do have data components that are hosted outside in different systems. We bring all of those into our data warehouse, and including those from the SIS, so Tableau can look at the data in one location.
You read our mind. That was a follow-up question was, well, what other data sources are being used here? So thank you for answering that before we had to ask. Okay, more questions. So Anthony Walters says, thanks. Is the grad plan data coming from the SIS? If so, is it aggregated in the SIS or in a warehouse or in Tableau? And Ruby answered it, but would love for some more details around this.
Oh, hopefully I give the same answer.
Right.
So yeah, it's mostly aggregated in the SIS, but there are certain components that aren't necessarily brought in, like we bring them into Tableau. Assessment data comes from the state, obviously, that's brought in later. It isn't really looked at the same way. It's in different locations. So for us to bring it from the SIS and combine it all into one location and one view, it's really helpful to the administrators. And yes, it is brought in from different locations, different flat files, different systems. It's all aggregated and brought into a data warehouse that we host on-prem, and then we extract, transform, and load the data and put it into the dashboards for the end users.
Good deal. Next question. I see that you have an export for data, image, and PDF. Can you go over how you created that?
Sure. So the export for the raw data is a in-house extension that we built. The one that's built into Tableau is great, but sometimes the users do get a little confused when they're downloading the data because it gives them a prompt to download all the different sheets on the page. And what we wanted the users to experience was, hey, click on this and get the data immediately. So we specifically identify what the users are going to download here. So you can see we have location download. It's a separate sheet that has all of the information formatted a little bit differently. It usually has the numerator, denominator already in there for them, including the rate. And when we get down to the student level, like I explained before, that information is much more elaborate. So, it breaks down all the EOC information. And then our image and our PDF download, those are the ones that are built into Tableau. So you can configure those to download in whatever manner you need to. And so they don't have as much control as our in-house export button that we've created, but it does allow the user to export the entire view or specific views in an image or PDF format.
Thanks, Albert. How do you conditionally format multiple columns in one sheet with different conditions for each? So speech versus peace officer, etc.
Good question. All right, so obviously dimensions you cannot format. So what we do is we use multiple dual access. You don't have to use multiple, but the reason we use multiple is to layer the information, obviously, so we can have the text on one layer and the color on the other layer. So if I click here on the color part, you'll see that I'm using a bar. And then if I click on the text, you can see that it's a text that I'm looking at as well. That way we have the ability to dynamically change the color based on the percentages as they progress throughout the year, as students start to take their EOCs, pass courses, do all the things necessary to graduate. Those numbers will change, and as they change, this dynamically changes with it along with the colors.
Yeah, I think one of the most commented on these workbooks and these dashboards is just how beautiful you guys have portrayed everything. It's just, so one of the questions that I did see in the chat that's not in the actual Q&A, it might be actually put it in there, someone put it in there later, but do you guys have templates that you can share from the creation of these workbooks and dashboards?
So we don't necessarily have a template. Like we'd mentioned, this is all kind of ad hoc as we move through. The only template we do have is the formatting. And that one is the same that we use for all of our dashboards. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to share the template because of the rounded edges and everything that you see here. All of that is an in-house KPI extension that we built, so we can dynamically change the colors as we need to. That's hosted on-prem, so we wouldn't be able to share it. It wouldn't work for anybody. So what we can share is the way everything looks and how we kind of format everything. So I hope that helps.
Yes, you actually just answered one of the questions around the rounded corner trick and just, the custom extension there. Do you send subscriptions with totals across all schools? Have you been able to implement subscriptions with row level access?
Yes, so all of our subscriptions are based on row level access. So as users sign in to Tableau, or when the extensions or the alerts are sent out, only their information is embedded in the subscription itself. So for instance, when this alert goes out, it is specific to their campus. So it may not look exactly the way it does for me, but it will have their total number of students at the top, and it will only have their campus information. So yes, it is row level security. We apply it to everything in all of our dashboards, so that way we don't violate FERPA, or we don't have people venturing in and looking at data they're not supposed to.
Love that. Thank you for clarifying on that. Can you talk a little about how you designed the credit requirement section? Like if you click on a student's credits from that screen, does it show which courses they've taken, what they are missing, etc.?
Yes, let me get there. So so in terms of credits, and I mentioned that earlier, it's one of the features we wanted to add to the dashboard. We do have credits earned. Now this is overall credits, and one of the things that we want to work on is their credit breakdown. I think you can see that in the tooltip. What we need to do is format the data in a way when it rolls in. Did they complete their English 1 credit, English 2 credit, that type of thing? And we're going to have a breakdown. So when we do hover over the specific KPI, we're looking at everything that they've taken, not necessarily all 25 or all 26 credit hours, but all of the core courses, we want to make sure that those are covered, and any additional credits that they need, we'll look at it in aggregate at a high level, and then when they download the file, then we'll have all of their credit information ready to go for them. What we want to do is we want to build another view once we get there that identifies every single credit they're supposed to take, and then they can look at each student at a whole level and say, hey, these students are deficient in each of these courses. It'll help the counselors help them get scheduled for the next school year, or maybe help them through summer school as well. So we're there, but we're not there. We're getting there, but
Yeah.
they're not there yet.
Yeah, no, that's very helpful. I mean, one of the questions was around how long this has been in development. I know whenever I met with you guys to kind of prepare for this presentation, that was one of my questions. Well, how long have you been using this, and where's it going, kind of thing? So can you give us a little bit history of how long you've been using this, how long it's been in development?
So it's fairly new. We started working on it around the summer of last year, and then we slowly rolled it out to users at the beginning of this school year, and we've been adding to it as we move along. Of course, we all have different priorities, so we haven't been able to address like for instance the credits earned. We haven't been able to put all of those in here yet. We're getting there, but it is a good tool for them to get a really good idea where the students sit specifically with their credits earned. You know, if they see that they're at 18 or even lower, well, then they can get into the SIS and see the courses that they've taken and address them there until we have time to bring that in. But it is fairly new. Users, they are using it as they use it. They suggest new things to bring in, and we try to bring them in as they request them. So about almost a year now.
Got it. Yeah, you've done a lot of great work, and this is super impressive, and love that it's being effective. Ruby, do you want to answer any of these additional questions? I see that you've really been taking on a lot of these questions. So if you want to step in and ask anything that's maybe that you think is important and want to reiterate it, that's okay with me. I'm happy to let you come off mute and ask some questions. Not to put you on the spot, that you're just, you're rocking and rolling over there. I see you typing.
Oh, I am. I think most of the questions, again, as you mentioned, did come regarding the rounded edges. So yes, that was a custom built extension that Albert developed. He is quite talented, so he has been able to develop both the rounded corner extension, and the customized download extension as well. I think there were a couple questions also surrounding the dual access charts that we utilize in order to apply those conditional formats. And I believe someone asked, is there a trick around how to not sacrifice performance? And unfortunately, we have not found a trick that helps with that, other than limiting the number of filters that the user has accessible to that particular view. So I know you may have come across some dashboards that have, every filter under the sun available to the user. And unfortunately, that does slow the dashboard down. So we try, as you can see up there, to kind of limit the most important filters. What else was a common question here? Oh, another common question was, how do you go about combining all of the different data sources and bringing them into Tableau? Our process and our expectation is that we do bring all of the data sources into a centralized location, which is our data warehouse. Once we have them in our data warehouse, we run them through a prep tool, something similar to Tableau Data Prep, in order to create the final output that we need to plug into Tableau. We try to generate all calculations outside of Tableau. Any calculated fields we try as much as possible to formulate in the data prep tool, so that once we spit out that customized data source, it's got everything we need in there, so that once we bring it into Tableau, it is more of a plug and play. That does help with performance, as well as Tableau's not having to run through those complicated calculations.
And so I think I
Thank
figured out
you.
why the EOCs aren't showing. I was using a different version of Tableau. I'm going to get that loaded so I can show you all. But while that loads, as Ruby mentioned, this is our in-house rounded extension, rounded KPI extension. What we like to emphasize, or why we like using this specific extension, is that when we use static images, you're basically set in stone. You know, you can't you can't really reshape the dashboard. The dashboard is what it is. If you wanted to change the rounded edges, you'd have to go in and change the shape color or the shape and where it lies on the dashboard or the size. The way that this works is it allows us to it is dynamic, so it does change as we as the dashboard changes. You can see that we have the ability to look at all the different edges. We can modify the edges. We can change the colors. We can change it to gradient if we needed to. It is really flexible. We have thousands of ways of manipulating this extension. So you can see here, we can make it look at it in any shape. I think you saw it here on our alert or subscription. You can see I put rounded edges only on specific sides, so it kind of gives it that effect of a whole square, but it isn't. It's quite a few different backgrounds, but they are dynamic in a sense that we don't have to put static images in there. So it is really cool.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing, going deeper into that. A question. We have more questions. Is that okay if I continue to ask?
That's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, this has been the most active chat we've had in a really long time. So that's super exciting. We kind of knew that was going to be happening. You guys are great. So I asked you this in our prep call, right? But have you seen any improvement in graduation rates after this tool was rolled out? If so, how do you measure the impact of the tools like this, or how do you plan to measure the
Well,
impact?
obviously graduation rate is the big indicator, right? So this just came out this year. Really the big key will be to look at next year's data once graduation is complete and the summer is over and summer school is over. It'll give us a really good indicator of where students, were we able to identify some of them. And then user input, I think, will be big too. We'll have to get with the campuses and say, hey, was this helpful to you? What do you want to see? Do you want us to add additional features? What features were helpful to you? What features weren't? Maybe we can remove something. But overall, I think user input and the graduation rates next year will be the big indicator whether it was successful or not. Here it is. So now you can see when we hover over any of those areas in the EOC complete column, you can see it identifies quickly which EOC has been completed with the check mark on the right hand side, and then a little dash saying, hey, they're missing specific information. If we hover over those with the green check mark, you can see that all 5 EOCs have been passed. It's really easy for the end users to get an idea what's going on with the student. Those with the X, you can see there aren't any EOCs that have been passed. All in all, it's a great tool, and it allows the users to quickly identify any gaps at any time throughout the year.
Yeah. Well, we're going to bring you guys back next year, after there's been a full year of this and really dive in further and see what kind of reporting you have on it. We have a few more questions and then we can wrap things up because we'll want to talk about what's next in our community. How many people are on your team, on the analytics team? Does your team manage all types of data other than SIS?
So we are a team of 3 senior data analysts, 1 junior data analyst. And yes, we are asked to, get our hands on any sort of data. So we do touch finance, human resources, academics, assessment, accountability, even projects surrounding school boundaries. We recently finished one of a project related to school boundary changes. Gosh, anything and everything.
Mhm. Yes, this team is awesome. I've been on site with them. They are fantastic. We have, let's see, one other simple question we have is, and they apologize, what does EOC stand for?
End of
Lots of
course
acronyms.
exam.
Yeah, end of course exam. Love that. Thank you guys. Let's see, what are we at time? We're about 45 minutes. Are there any questions I missed, my team, or they're still coming in? Let's see. There's a lot, and we might miss a couple, so we apologize ahead of time for that. I think we're good on the questions, but if there's anything that comes up, let me know. But Albert, Ruby, this is fantastic. Is there anything that you guys want to leave us with? Any teasers that you guys have coming down the road on projects, or what's next?
We're working on so much right
Are you allowed to
now.
share? Yeah.
Do you have anything?
I think our district is currently undergoing a redesign. It's called Destination District Redesign. And so we are building a tool that's allowing our school leadership and our community to be able to utilize in order to see what destination district means and how it will impact students, teachers, and community.
Well, I'll be chatting with you offline about that and seeing how we can help. Love that. Well, thank you guys so much. This is, like I said, and not only is it just beautiful, but it really gives you the insights that these individuals need to make decisions for students. Our number one goal is to support the students, and you guys are doing a fabulous job doing so and helping the educators get what they need to support those students. So thank you so much for all you do and all you continue to do.
Thank you
We
all.
love being able to spotlight you guys. So do you want to wrap up anything on your end, Albert, or do you want to let me take over?
You could take
Sharing
over. I'm done.
Okay. All right, good deal. I'll go ahead and share my screen. So we'll wrap things up. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. So we know some of you here. Can you see my screen? Just a little thumbs up if you can. Yes. Okay, cool. We have lots of people on this call today that always join our session. So we are so thankful that you always join. But there are some new folks on the call today. So we're glad that you're here. We know that El Paso is a very tenured partner of ours. They are so good at what they do. And I know that they'd probably raise their hand to talk to you guys if you have any additional questions. But for those that are new and need a little bit more support, onboarding and whatnot, what can you do? Well, you can join our networking doc. So we will follow up with the slides to this deck today. It includes the networking doc, includes our K12 Tableau user group, as well as the Tableau Community Hub. But let me go back one screen, sorry. But we also have free training videos for those that are brand new to learning Tableau, how to get started, what kind of order resources do you get with this? Customer service questions, things like that. But upcoming events, we've got some exciting things on the docket for August. Summer, we're kind of laying low a little bit. You guys hopefully will take a lot of time off if you can to spend time with families and reset before you have to come back and get at it again. But in August, we will be sending out some dates, some invites soon. But Chandler USD has raised their hand to share on August 13th of a teacher dashboard. So they actually roll out to the teacher level. So that's going to be really exciting. And then if you have anything around your accounts that you need support on planning for the next school year, please reach out to your Tableau account executive. We're here to help. And if you need anything else, just reach out. We're here to help at all times. So thank you again. We've loved having you all here today, and thank you to El Paso. You guys are the greatest. And with that, we'll go ahead and end today's session. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.